crazy to me that 6 years ago I started off with only 2 hives and now we are up to 281. This year, Casey and I set the goal to have 236 hives. I say 236 because you always got to give or take with some of the hives that are going to be a little bit weak, because we want to send 200 to California for almond pollination this year. This would be a very big step for us, but the question is, are we going to be able to do it? Hey guys, welcome back. I honestly did not know if I was going to be able to film today, but Casey over here decided to take the day off work, so I have a friend and I have some extra help. Today is a crazy busy day. We are going to be making 240 splits over the next 10 days. We have a bunch of lids that Casey just built and put together. These are all for our expansion, and unfortunately we don't have enough of the pro nukes to be able to just leave them all in pro nukes, so we have to split all of our hives into pro nukes, move them to the yard, then put them into their main box. So we're going to be setting up yards today too, while also splitting. We got our handy dandy shed to be able to bring them over, got a wheelbarrow, and some strong muscles. So honestly, the biggest part of our expansion has been planning. Like, really planning. Every move we make, every piece of gear we need, it's all thought out way in advance. Because here's the thing, when you're building a business, especially something like this, you've only got so much money to work with. You don't just throw cash at every problem that you run into. Some of the things that we do right now, yeah, they're not the most efficient, but that's not because we don't know better. It's because we don't have the funds yet to buy all the equipment that would make it easier. And that's kind of the beauty of it. That's the nifty part about farming and beekeeping. You figure it out with what you've got, you get scrappy, you get creative, you make it work, and in the end, that's what makes you a better builder. All right, now time to split. Got a bunch of pro nukes. Casey's gonna bring more down for me. I already have some set down here too. I put queen excluders on a lot of these hives 2 days ago. You can see them in between there. Some of them I doubled up on and did double queen excluder because I need to know where the queen is and I need this to be fast. We are doing 3 frame splits with a queen cell. Queen cells will go in either tomorrow or the next day. Planning on, these hives have a ton of bees. So I'm planning on 1 frame of brood, 1 frame of resources, and 1 miscellaneous frame, whether that has a little bit more brood too. And then the rest of them are just going to be empty frames for them. Last year we did 2 frame splits this way and they did absolutely phenomenal. So this is how we're going to do the last part of our expansion with all of our Biblidu daughters that Casey's been breeding. So, I guess we better get going. It's going to be a busy day. Also guys, I'm trying out a new bee suit from Comfort Pro. And I'm going to be honest, when I first tried this bee suit, it was wintertime and I was not the biggest fan of it. And I think that might have been because I am a very tall person and it was one of those days that I didn't have my boots, so I was trying to pull these pants down the entire time to keep it over my ankles. I hate being stung in the ankles. Well, it turns out if you wear your boots, then this suit is actually great. It's super breathable. It keeps you nice and cool. It's a different material than I'm used to, and actually I love it. Summertime can get really hot when you're in the bee yard, but right now I have been feeling great even on the 80 degree, 90 degree days that we've had with the humidity, and it has a nice breeze whenever you walk that lets some air through. So when I build these all the exact same. So I keep all the empty frames to the right, and then I have my resource frame farthest to the left, next my brood frame, then my miscellaneous. And I do that because I'm using frames from every single hive because not all hives are exactly the same. Some hives have more brood and resources than others because other ones might be a little bit weaker. So I can just kind of lay them out like this, and I know that, okay, this one I need a brood frame and a resource frame. Same with this one. This one needs a resource frame. That one needs a miscellaneous and a resource frame. That way I know exactly what I need to put in and can kind of make them all pretty much the same. Now, one of the biggest keys to this entire plan, as you guys saw, was keeping these hives from swarming. I was literally fighting tooth and nail to hold them back. Not all of the hives that you see here are from our own genetics. We actually bought 40 hives from a local beekeeper that was coming back from almond pollination in California. And for whatever reason, those hives just had it in their DNA that they had to swarm. It didn't matter what I did, they just wanted to leave. Normally, I could pull a split, maybe two, and that's enough to keep the hive from swarming. In fact, the hives that we sent to California and brought back had no issues with this. They were stable, but these 40, they did not care. They were dead set on swarming. So for weeks, I was out here constantly managing these colonies, trying to time everything just right, keeping the queens from leaving while I waited for them to build back up after our first round of splits. Now, yeah, I will be honest, I did lose a few queens, but not all of them. So I still count that as a win. The whole goal was to time it out perfectly. So when it came time to do the splits, the hives had the right amount of brood and the right amount of resources and the right conditions to produce as many new colonies as possible. And that is what made this entire expansion possible. I think I was averaging around 6 splits per hive out of those, which is actually pretty solid. That timing, that control, that's the game when you're trying to scale up like this. Whew. So far we're making pretty good progress. Got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Got 15 out of 3 hives so far, so we're averaging 5 nukes per hive. Not too bad. All right, got us all loaded up, and including the splits that I left behind in the original hive's place, we've done 94 splits. But we have to cut today short because we got to head up to Three Rivers to meet with Scott Barnes. He is loading up into blueberries tonight, and he invited us out, so looks like tomorrow's gonna be a busy day. Well, good morning. It is the next day now, and it is pouring down rain, as you guys can see. So today is definitely going to be interesting. We had a late night last night with Scott Barnes, helping him load into, well, I wouldn't say helping him, but following him into blueberries. That was a really cool experience, and we got to learn so much. We got to meet such an amazing couple that has been pulling trailers for many years now, and they do it as a team. But we're going to be setting up multiple yards today. We're also going to be splitting. We also have some queen cells hanging out over here in this pro nuke that we're going to be dropping in. Hopefully the rain stops, because we definitely don't want them getting chilled or cold or anything. They're still in the pupa form, so they haven't hardened, and they're very, very susceptible to any sort of like temperature fluctuations, so you have to be careful when it comes to that. And it is just me today. I have an empty seat over here. Casey's at work today, so we're gonna make the most of it. I will say, I always feel like a cool chick when I'm pulling a big load. Now, I know to some of you guys this isn't big, but to me, hey, this is a big step up from what I'm used to. And we got all the lids that we built. Okay, so this is the hunting yard. And you guys have heard me talk about this yard many times about how frustrated I was that they weren't really producing any honey and they weren't really doing very well. So I decided to move them from their original spot, which is way over here. I still have 3 that are out on mating flights back there, but I decided to move them right here so that they are on top of the hill, because the sunrise is over there. And the problem, I think, what that was happening was, you see this tree line? Well, when the sunrise is over there and those are completely filled out with leaves, they were pretty much in shade until about noon. So I think the bees were getting a very late start. So I'm hoping on top of the hill, they're going to get the sunlight a lot quicker in the morning, so maybe they can actually get out and start foraging. So we'll see how it goes. If they still end up not doing very well, then it may well be that I just completely delete this yard. So I have all the boxes already pre-stacked and ready to go, so I just have to drop them over. I'm going to be taking out the nukes and putting them in here today. I would have liked to just keep these in the boxes. It would have been a lot better for them to keep them in a nice, tight, condensed space like this. But I did not buy enough pro nukes. So that's just the name of the game and where we're at right now in our growth. And that's okay. Alright, so I already know that some people are going to ask, Emily, why are you working bees in the rain when you have to wear 2 coats and a full set of leggings? And look, I get it. It's chilly and it's damp. Not exactly prime for beekeeping weather. But here's the deal. When you're working a full-time job and trying to build a business, you only get so many windows of time, and this was mine. The work doesn't just stop because the weather isn't perfect. These pro nukes needed to be emptied out so I could prep for the next round of splits. It's all about timing, like I keep saying, and today was the only shot I had to make it happen. Honestly, I think I'm gonna look back at these videos one day and just laugh, because some of the things we're doing right now are definitely working harder than we technically need to, but I still love every minute of it. Now, for those of you wondering, Emily, why did you risk losing queen cells by dropping them on a day like today? Yes, this did cross my mind, but surprisingly, they still held up really well. We only lost about 10%, which is honestly not bad at all. As of today, May 16th, most of the queens are already coming back from their mating flights. Since the nukes were in a small, condensed setup, the queens didn't have many frames that they had to walk on. They flew right out, did their thing, and they're starting to come back fairly quick. This day was pretty intense. I actually ended up putting the camera down just to knock out all of the work. I was setting up 7 new yards that day, so now we're officially up to 13 yards total for all of our hives. I try to keep the hives spread out as much as I can so that the bees have access to natural pollen and nectar. That way, I'm not feeding them too heavy, and honestly, they just thrive better when they're out there working their environment like nature intended. Also, it is an absolute blessing. We found a couple of new yard locations that are absolutely beautiful. Getting to them wasn't necessarily easy. It was a trek, but man, was it worth it. So we are out here verifying queens. We have a bunch of hives that are all out on mating flights, other hives that we introduced queens, and it is absolutely gorgeous out here. All of the autumn olive is in full bloom right now. Like, look at that. This whole entire path is full of it. This whole entire, like the whole surrounding is full of it. And you also have a lot of blackberry bushes back here too, so it's gonna be a great spot for this summer. This yard is called the brush yard, and I'll show you why. So we set up this yard late at night. It was just after dusk. Casey made these splits from the pine yard because his bees are absolutely loaded. But we made these to be stronger than the rest of them so that we have some hives that we can pull from as pretty much as brood factories. So we have a whole single of bees. Well, the girls got a second box. They also got some feed. Now we have less on our truck, just in time for us to go pick up more boxes. It's that time of year. And now, welcome to paradise. This is the paradise yard. We got caught in the rain, loading up boxes. We have some more for some second stories at another yard. But these are all splits that we made with mated queens, about a 3 or 4 frame split. They're gonna be ready for boxes because the queens are all laid and happy and healthy. So right now we're sitting at 281 hives, which is absolutely wild to even say out loud. Now, not all of them are guaranteed to stick. Some of the queens are still out on mating flights, and as any beekeeper knows, not all of them are going to come back successfully. That is honestly just part of it. That's why we always overshoot the numbers a bit. Our target this year is 236 solid hives, so by starting with more, we give ourselves enough buffer to hit that goal, even with a few setbacks. One of the yards I built is actually a kind of nuke yard. It's designed so I can pull from it and patch up any colonies that lose a queen or fail to take off for whatever reason. It's basically my insurance policy for the entire operation. But once all the girls are mated and we've got laying queens across the board, then it's time to start thinking about mite treatments. And honestly, that is one of the scariest parts of running a bee business because you can do everything right and still, there is no guarantee that every box is going to thrive. You don't know if they'll be big enough, strong enough, or heavy enough to make the grade for California pollination. But that's just the reality of it. It's risky. But even with all that uncertainty, I am absolutely pumped. I am really excited to see what this year brings. We're learning at full speed right now, making mistakes, learning from them, dusting ourselves off, and moving forward. But, that's how you grow, and that's how you build something real.